Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new Fallout 76 video. So, the fishing update is just around the corner. That'll be the summer update for 76, and just ahead of the launch of that, Bethesda's devs, the core devs on the update, have done a little AMA session on Discord yesterday, going through community questions about the update and also a little bit about what's coming next. So we're going to do a little roundup of that today and sort of summarise what we can pull out of that little AMA from yesterday. So as a quick reminder, the update will be going live on Tuesday the 3rd of June, so that's next week, and it'll be the usual update time, sort of midday Eastern, which will be about 3 o'clock in the afternoon UK time that the servers come down, more or less, somewhere around there. And of course that'll be the end of Season 20, and when the servers come back up, the launch of Season 21, so be prepared for that. I'll make sure I link my video on the rewards and stuff if you want to have a look at that. But yeah, we're going to have a look at the sort of AMA roundup here that we've got going on, because there were a few cool questions, a little bit of clarification here and there, some little sort of behind-the-scenes snippets of information on mechanics, as well as some nods towards what's coming beyond the fishing update as well, so later in the year. So yeah, some cool stuff. All right then. First up, the first major question was, what did they want to achieve by including fishing, and why have they included it, all that sort of thing. So the general response to that was, fishing is a fairly iconic mechanic in RPGs and MMOs and things like that, and players have been asking for it. So yeah, it's not surprising. Maybe not the most requested feature, but a frequently requested one throughout the years, I would imagine, fishing. So they're bringing it in for that reason. The other thing is they're really into sort of the world of Appalachia being its sort of the central character, as it were, the developing wasteland and so on. And this is a new opportunity for players to explore the map again with a different hat on, I suppose, a different way of looking at it while you're looking around. Basically, because you're going out looking for cool spots to fish and or to set up camps related to that. So yeah, they've kind of got that hat on as well with including the way the update works. Particularly in that if the water is deep enough to swim in, you can catch fish in it. That is the premise. So, we're asked about sort of future additions to the fishing update beyond the initial launch on Tuesday. And basically they have said that we will be getting new fish added to it. We kind of expected that anyway. It's not really a surprising turn of events that, but the first of which will be arriving later in the year, which is cool. There is the axolotl thing, which is a monthly sort of rare fish you can catch one each month, and the particular breed will change each month, which is cool. But that's going to be in from launch, so yeah, that will kick off from next week. So the current setup, as with the ghoul setup from the update in March, is a foundation and a starting point, and they're going to build on it and iterate it and develop things and tweak things as feedback comes in and add new stuff. One of the other things is they were talking about using the system to add sort of seasonal type fishing content. So you might get the example that was given, which I don't know if is an actual real one they're going to do or just a hypothetical. But the hypothetical example was, say, if they wanted to do a Christmas Eve fish, you'd know what the mechanics and the system is for that and how that will be introduced and how to go and get it and stuff. So they're kind of wanting to familiarise players with the base system first and then add new bits and pieces onto it afterwards, once we understand the whole system and can sort of respond to the new bits they're putting in. And, we have certain expectations and they can work with those. So that's an interesting sort of perspective on the way they structure and organise releases from a practical approachability standpoint, which is quite cool. So somebody asked if there was a possibility of having a fishing logbook or some way of tracking your achievements within fishing, so all the different types of fish you've caught and things like that. As it currently stands, there is no plan for that apparently, but they did seem to like the idea, so it might be something they were looking to later, maybe possibly. Very, very non-committal there, but it was an interesting idea. Another question sort of tied into that was some way of tracking types of fish caught and maybe sort of keeping records of how long they are and how much they weigh, the sort of thing real fishermen do, which is also not a thing in the game at the moment, but it would be an interesting mechanic and addition they could potentially add later on if they wanted to. And yeah, they were debating that, and the idea of a fishing logbook so you can track things would be a good place to also track your achievements regarding the size and types of fish and things like that. So all of that was discussed. It's not happening at the moment, but maybe in future, who knows, if there's enough requests for that sort of thing. They were asked about fishing in what will be new locations beyond the initial launch. So future map expansions was one thing, like, say, Skyline Valley is. Obviously, the response there is non-committal because they don't want to confirm or deny whether or not future expansions might be happening and if and when, because there's nothing announced yet. it does seem likely that if we get another addition to the map a la Skyline Valley, they would probably include fishing spots in that. So, and presumably new fish to go along with it, new types that you can catch there, unique ones, because there are different types of unique fish available in different regions. So if they had something like that, it seems likely that they will go down that road. Again, no commitment to doing that because it's not something that's going to happen soon, which likely means not within the next year or more. So they won't say anything about that at this point, but who knows? They probably will add new expansions eventually, so it will probably come in there. The other half of this that was asked was about expeditions. There are a few bodies of water within Atlantic City in particular. Well, there's some potential spots in the pit as well. The people were wondering whether or not they would add the ability to go and fish there. The answer to that is they are not doing it for now, and they don't have any plans to do it either. From an expedition standpoint, they want to keep people focused on the expeditions, and if you're going there for other reasons, particularly Atlantic City, you've got quest lines and things like that to focus on. They also mentioned that there is no map there to help you find these spots, so they kind of don't want to do it for that reason. I assume there are other things that they're not really mentioning that factor into that, but the long and the short of it is expedition locations will not be getting fishing. There is no plan for that. If there's enough call, theoretically it might change, but if I were a betting man, I would not anticipate there being enough call for that, so probably not. On the other hand, trekking there and back is a bit of a drag, so if it's in the main map, it's kind of easy to engage with, so there is that too. So there was questions around fishing weather and weather at camps and how all that works, and we got a little bit of sort of behind-the-scenes information on how that mechanic works. So basically, different types of weather affect the odds of different types of fish being caught. So you get clear weather gives you the most common types, generally speaking, which you will probably want to catch some of, especially for making food out of. But other weather types will increase the odds of catching different types of fish. So there are three main brackets, it seems, taking sort of a little bit of reading between the lines, but based on what was said. Three main brackets that the weather falls into. So there's precipitation, which basically means rain or snow. If you have a snow machine on in your camp, snow weather type on in your camp, that also applies. And that will give you uncommon fish types more often. Rad storms give you a better chance of glowing fish, and nuke zones will also give you a better chance of presumably glowing fish, but also other rare fish as well. So those are the major weather types. Precipitation, so rain and snow, rad storms, and nuke zones. Of course, everything else is just standard, so clear weather and the like. Rather than taking away from any particular set of odds for a fish to be caught, what these actually will do is just buff the specific type that you're looking for. So rainy weather will increase the odds of uncommon fish, and rad storms will increase the odds of glowing fish, but they won't actually reduce the odds of everything else. It kind of works out that way anyway, sort of the flip side of the coin, as it were, but they're not going to nerf the chances of catching something, they just increase the chances of catching specific things as to how that works. The other thing is, when it comes to camp weather, your camp weather will take priority over any kind of other weather, the world's weather. So if you have rainy weather in the real world, in the rest of the map, or the zone you're in, and then your camp has nuclear effects, nuke drop weather on in it, or bradstorm weather, for example, then the weather that your machine is providing is the one that will affect the fish you get, not the underlying one. And they won't stack, per se. One will override the other. So if you have nuke weather in your camp and a radstorm going on, you won't have the odds of both buffed. You'll just have the nuke weather from your camp. So yeah, camp weather taking priority over all other weather, if you have it activated. And it's worth bearing in mind if you're somebody like me who always has clear weather on in the camp, because I like to be able to see what I've built, and it's good for videos and stuff like that. So I need to remember to turn it off if I'm fishing at my camp, which I may or may not do. We'll see. It's fun to have this little addition of something extra to do when you've done challenges and stuff at the moment, so I'm kind of happy about this from that perspective, even though I'm not a big fishing fan myself. So there were questions around displaying fish, and whether or not we're going to get fish bowls or fish tanks in future were the big questions. Right now, the answer is that there are already some options going in. I believe there are some coming from challenges and daily quests that are sort of part of the fishing mechanic. There are also more display options on the seasons pages, season 21 obviously so far, and that will be sort of fish hooks that you can hang caught dead fish from in your camp, which is a bit grim, but still, you will be able to hang fish from displays, which is quite cool. There are other, apparently quite interesting and weird and wacky, judging by the expressions that were given during the AMA about this, methods of displaying fish that are coming on down the line as well. So we'll be getting more of those probably in subsequent seasons and maybe via the Atomic Shop as well, so keep an eye out for those. As for fish bowls, fish tanks and stuff like that, things that will allow you to display living fish, that's my words really rather than anybody else's, but fish bowls and tanks, they imply living, don't they? So, this is a community request, obviously. It is being discussed by the devs. There are currently no confirmation or plans on that, but they do seem to be getting a fair bit of feedback on whether or not this will be a thing and people wanting to be able to display live fish in their camp. I'd like that, and I think it would be great, and I'm sure a lot of people do as well. As I say, they've got no confirmation on that. They're not saying it's going to happen, but it is in conversation, as obviously the community is talking about it as well. So keep throwing suggestions for it at them if you want to hear that. There's a few other areas here as well where they're talking about suggestions as well. So yeah, Discord, Reddit, places like that, keep talking about it, and the chances of them actually including it later will go up. So reading between the lines of that, I think we can at least safely say we won't be seeing any way of displaying live fish in the form of tanks or bowls within 2025 at least, because such a thing, if it's not being discussed yet, is not going to land before next year at the earliest, at this point. So, the next question was regarding superb bait. Currently, it is only available from seasons, and the question was, are you going to change that and give us more ways to get superb bait? To which the answer was, no, they're not. Superb bait will only be available from seasons. It's worth noting that this is not a Fallout First specific reward, it's available to everybody, but they are only on the seasons for now. Another side to that coin as well is that superb bait improves your odds of getting rare fish, but you can actually get rare fish with other types of bait as well, and also the type of weather will affect that as well, so you really don't have to use superb bait at all. The other thing that they did point out was that if you want to go after those really rare special fish, then you're going to need better rods and better tackle and so on, which you'll get through completing fishing dailies and challenges and so on. And if you don't have that, the chances of you actually successfully catching the fish are significantly reduced because they'll break the line or whatever and get away much more easily than if you have better equipment. And because we all start off with the bottom tier and have to earn our way to better equipment, basically delaying the pickup of superb bait is not such a bad thing anyway, because if you use it with the most basic gear, you probably end up wasting the superb bait anyway. It was kind of the implication of what they were saying about that. And that's a fair point. By the time you're getting enough superb bait to be using it on the regular through the seasons, you'll have a better rod to take advantage of it. It's worth noting the other types of bait. They did discuss sort of where that comes from. Obviously, completing dailies and fishing challenges will get you bait that way, particularly the uncommon baits and stuff, but not the superb. It also drops from certain containers, so if you're looting boxes and the like around the world, you'll have a better chance of finding it there, or a chance. And public events will be dropping bait as a reward as well, so you'll be able to get it from completing those. And everything apart from superb bait can be sold at your camp, so people can go and buy it from people who have more than they can use or don't want it. So there are options in terms of being able to acquire this other types of bait, but the superb staying with seasons for now. There was a question about whether or not fish spoil on you. The short version is fish do not spoil. It's a bit of an exception to the food spoilage rule. The major reason for that being that they were having issues with putting fish on display, like hooks and what have you, and then the fish spoiling and then not being on display anymore or causing bugs and stuff with that. So they eliminated the spoilage factor from fish. That being said, if you cook them into food or if you turn them into fish bits, those things will start to decay over time. So the mechanic does still exist just when you've done something with the fish. But as regards actually displaying them, shouldn't be a problem. So there were questions around herbivore characters and players who lean into that herbivore food style, particularly the humans anyway. And obviously fishing is rather difficult to accommodate herbivores in. Whichever way you swing it, fish basically doesn't fit into a herbivore diet. So, as it currently stands, they are aware that those players who are herbivore characters will have a harder time taking advantage of the fish-based meals, at least, and they're looking into what they can do to accommodate herbivore characters better. As it stands, they don't have an answer for that, so something might come in future on that front, but right now, obviously, fish basically are yeah, I mean, you can argue the nuance of it, but they're meat. So, yeah, for now, that is a bit of a challenge for them, and herbivore characters will have to hold on and hope they come up with a solution later on, because right now they don't have one. They've got some ideas that they're playing around with, but it is being looked into, so good for herbivore characters there, but a rather difficult challenge for the devs to overcome for the moment. There was a question as to whether or not there might be fishing-related bosses in future. For example, you throw in your rod and a chance of pulling up something that is not a fish, or not a conventional fish. I'm having flashbacks to old Greg from the Mighty Boosh here, for those of you who know what I'm on about. But yeah, you could potentially pull up a boss. Not a mechanic that is currently in the game, but the devs certainly seem to like this idea and have a good laugh at it. So yeah, that might be something that appears on down the line, and I did have a good chuckle with one of the community managers on Discord a few weeks ago, actually a couple of weeks ago, about old Greg references into the fishing mechanics. So, you know, something along those lines, obviously copyright and trademarks and what have you notwithstanding, could be fun in future, but not yet, but the devs do like the idea, so interesting. Fishing outfits was a question that came up, particularly the fisherman, that Milo King type beastie that we're going to be meeting, character I should say, not really beastie. He has an outfit and we can't currently get it, it's not available to us. However, if players want it, and chances are they probably do, so feedback on this one, give them feedback on Discord and on Reddit and where have you, then they might make it available to us at a later point in time, maybe as a Halloween outfit or something else like that. They also talked about potentially other fishing outfits and the like being added, and maybe putting bonuses for fishing onto those outfits. Say you wear X outfit and you get a better chance of catching whatever fish, something like that. This was all hypotheticals and being bandied around as thoughts just floating around the space at the time, but not happening now, might happen in future if there's enough requests for fishing-related apparel and the like. So yeah, get the suggestions in. And the last major fishing question that we have, there's a few other bits to talk about as well, is relating to the fisherman himself and his friend Captain Roman, I believe it is, that we meet at the new location, and the lore that relates to them. There is a whole bunch of stuff that is there. There is more facets to the lore of these characters and their backgrounds that's implied, sort of connections to potentially the capital wasteland as well, that sort of thing. And the basic gist of the question was, are we going to find out more? Are they going to build on it in future? Right now, it seems the plan is to keep it ambiguous and maintain an element of mystery rather than to build on it. But you never know. They do like to, apparently, throw links to other bits of the Fallout world. Of course they can. But whether or not they build on it, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, they want to maintain an air of mystery and have people discussing who are these people, where did they come from, and what's the... get people theorising about it, that sort of thing, rather than actually giving a definitive answer, which would then kind of kill off the theorising a little bit. So yeah, for now, that's still going to remain open-ended and a bit vague. So, moving on from the fishing stuff and looking further down the line, there are a few bits and pieces here that relate to subsequent updates and the future of the game, which were hinted at. There's not a great deal of details, but some interesting stuff. First thing, which is a bit more close to home, is Season 21's Canery Item, which is a workbench you build in your camp and will allow you to can food in order to stop it spoiling, in short. It's got some relatively high resource demands to produce the cans, but fairly high anyway. But that's not too unmanageable, and then you can things and get past that food spoilage element. So I'll throw up on screen a list of all of the currently cannable food. It's not everything that you can make. There's only a subset of food types that you can actually put into cans. So that's worth bearing in mind for now. They have said they might possibly expand the list of cannibal food items in the future. So if there's something specific that's not on the list that you would like to see them add to it, again, Discord, Reddit, and so on, get those suggestions going into them, and they might update and increase the list of foods. In fact, I think they probably will, to be honest, going forward and in the future. So yeah, that would be quite cool. The other thing that was mentioned is that canned food is heavy. I think 7 pounds was the weight number that I heard bandied around. But obviously people are asking, like, is that going to change? Is it going to be reduced? Because that's a lot of weight per food item. And you're right, it is a lot of weight per food item. But the answer is no, they're not planning on changing that. The reason they've cited is that through perks and armor mods, you can reduce food and drink weights anyway, and that does affect canned food. through Hiker alone will reduce it by 90%. So that really doesn't need it. So yeah, that's the Canery machine. The next question related to the camp building update, which we know is coming. I heard about this about a year ago now, and they announced it at the back end of last year. They've been working on updating their camp building menu and things for quite some time now, which is really cool, because we definitely need an overhaul there. The phrase "coming very soon" was used at least twice during the course of the AMA there. They didn't give a date or details, but "it's coming very soon" it was quite strongly emphasised. So, obviously, without actually having an official date, my guess is it'll probably be the September update. They hinted we'd be hearing more about it soon as well, so if we are hearing more about it soon, chances are that means it'll be the autumn update. So yeah, that's really cool. They did say it was coming this year, so feeling that means December, but nonetheless, camp update is coming this year, and we're going to hear more soon. It does sound like, reading between the lines again and sort of the emphasis and the way they're phrasing things, there will be a lot more to this update than just rejigging the menu. There will be other features and adjustments to the way the camp building system works. So hopefully it'll be a bit of a refresh and make things a bit newer in some ways. It'll be interesting to see what they do there. One thing they did mention is that recently they held a survey on Discord regarding whether or not players would like to see camp building restrictions, i.e. what you can place where and things like that, snapping and floating and such like, being relaxed or not. Now, this won't include budgets, let's be pretty clear on this. They're very unlikely to change camp building budgets just because that impacts server performance. But in terms of where you can place things and flexibility around that, it seems that there was a resounding 99% or so in favour of relaxing the restrictions. I'm a little bit more on the fence myself, but you know, it's a whole other thing. So yeah, it looks like that will happen. On the other hand, this particular discussion only happened very recently, so if the update is September, it's unlikely to happen in that update, more like on down the line, possibly next year. But it was something that was discussed, and it looks like they will be looking into doing that because the result was pretty resounding in terms of giving us more flexibility. So, yeah, interesting. There was questions regarding older game features, which are a bit non-specific, but just older mechanics and elements of the game, and whether or not they'll update them, replace them, and so on as they go forward. And the short answer to that was they're planning to continue refreshing things and tweaking and adjusting older features of the game to align with newer content as time goes on, so as and when. Which is not a really big surprise. It's also very, very non-specific. But yeah, older existing mechanics will be getting tweaked and adjusted to fit into the developing game. They hinted at big plans coming for future updates, which may or may not be December. It may be beyond into 2026, regarding public events and possibly seasonal events too. So it sounds like we might be getting a bunch of new ones, possibly with a new tone and approach and style to it. That'll be really cool. Really change up the vibe a bit. But they're not sharing any actual details on this, or including anything remotely like a date. So, not before December, I wouldn't think, but possibly not until next year either. However, they are looking at and working on, have a work in progress thing with some big updates to the public events and so on. So, that's something to keep an eye out for, as regards something that we engage with quite a lot on a daily basis. So, potentially big changes incoming there. And last, and frankly probably least on the list, is Milepost Zero. There are a number of fixes that players are crying out for with that, not least of all that southwestern corner where Brahmin always gets stuck. Basically, they are still looking at it, still working on fixing the issues with it, and maybe adding more stuff to Milepost Zero in future. However, no news on what might happen, when this might happen, so on and so forth, yet. They're just still working on it, is the gist of what they've said. They don't want to say anything more, presumably because they don't have a functional fix yet. Which is disappointing to hear, but nonetheless, it's good that they're working on it, but we'll have to watch this space, I guess, and hopefully we'll have a bit more details at some point in the future. But there we go. That is a breakdown of a 45-minute or so AMA for you regarding the fishing update and beyond. There's some interesting tidbits there, some interesting little bits on the mechanical side of things around the back of how the fishing update works, which is quite useful, and of course, a little bit more confirmation about what they're working on going forward. Obviously, we know a bit about the camp update, but beyond that, we really don't know very much at all about what else they have planned in the future after this point. So, we're due some revelations, I think. They've shared pretty much it. Well, they've released pretty much everything they've told us about, with the exception of the camp stuff, and now the hints around public events. So, yeah. It's possible we might get some hints in the next month about either the September update, which will probably be camp-related, probably, and maybe even beyond, because obviously summer showcases will be kicking off around then, so it would be a good time to do it. And failing that, then I suspect we'll get another Fallout Day broadcast come October, which would be the 23rd, I think. But yeah, we'll likely hear more about what's going to happen in 2026 around about then, because that's what they did last year. So, hope you guys found that useful and informative. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes. I very much appreciate it. Hit that notification bell and we'll keep you up to date with Fallout 76 news. Down below the video, we've got social media links in the description and channel memberships on that blue join button if you'd like to support the channel that way. I really, really appreciate that. It massively helps out. And if you get a chance to join us for live streams as well, we're of course jumping into the 76 update. That'll probably be the day afterwards, next Wednesday, as we are playing a couple of other things as well at the moment. We've got Oblivion Remastered on the go as well, which has been really cool on stream. And we're working through Atomfall, which has been good fun as well. And the new DLC for that comes out on the same day as the new update for 76. So, lots to be jumping into. So if you're interested in live streams and the like, then do keep an eye out. Lots of fun there. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.